Bond. James Bond.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Did we just become best friends?
Yup! Sublime!
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Tear me apart, Lisa!
But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hi friends, and welcome to another episode of You Haven't Seen That, a movie discussion podcast where we introduce our friend Ben to movies he should have seen a long time ago. I'm your host, Amanda.
I'm Geoff.
And I'm Ben.
And today, we are talking about Ghostbusters, and stick around until the end. We'll be going over our top 4 Halloween songs.
The year, 1984. The month, June. So not Halloween season. The number one song in the country, Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper, sorry. Bruce Springsteen had just released his album Born in the USA, very timely because of the Springsteen biopic / not biopic coming up very soon. And the video game Tetris is released in the Soviet Union. The movie we're talking about today, Ghostbusters. After losing their academic posts at a prestigious university, a team of parapsychologists goes into business as proton pack-toting, quote, Ghostbusters, who exterminate ghosts, ghouls, hobgoblins, and supernatural pests of all stripes. An ad campaign pays off when a knockout cellist hires the squad to purge her swanky digs of demons that appear to be living in her refrigerator. It's a very long synopsis. The movie, directed by Ivan Reitman. This movie stars Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Sigourney Weaver, and Rick Moranis. With a $30 million budget, this movie ended up grossing $370 million at the global box office. This movie opened number 1, dethroning Star Trek III, and it was the number 1 movie in the United States for 7 straight weeks. This movie was also the number 1 movie at the domestic box office in 1984. This movie was very well received from critics, receiving a, kind of looking back, a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 71 on Metacritic. This movie was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, Best Original Song, where it lost to I Just Called to Say I Love You by Stevie Wonder from The Woman in Red. And it was also nominated for Best Visual Effects, which it lost to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And this was the first of 5 movies in the Ghostbusters franchise, with 3 sequels after this and 1 spin-off movie.
Cool. Thank you. Ben, why don't you tell us your history with Ghostbusters?
I don't really have any history beyond the song. When I was a kid, I had a Halloween party mix cassette tape that I wore out every October, and this song was on there. I am embarrassed to admit, though, I did not know until this week watching the movie whether the song came from the movie or the movie came from the song. So I thought maybe like it was a song first and they made a movie out of it. I didn't really know that for a fact either way. So that was really all I knew. I mean, I'm familiar with, the logo and things like that. It's definitely like, this was like a thing that kids were into when I was a kid, although it was a little bit before. It was more 80s kids than 90s kids, but I think there's still, like, I'm pretty sure the cartoon was on and things like that. Like the remnants were still around, but when I was growing up. So I was familiar with the general, aesthetic of it, but I didn't know too much specific.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're familiar with the Just Dance of Ghostbusters.
Yes, that too.
Which at least features the uniforms and one of the ghosts.
Right.
Geoff, what's your history?
My history with Ghostbusters. Weirdly, I can't remember the first time I saw Ghostbusters, but I feel like as long as I've been alive and as long as I've been watching movies, I've known and seen Ghostbusters. It's just something that has always been on in my household, whether it be on cable TV or turned on, especially during specific times of year. But I can't remember a specific time where I hadn't known Ghostbusters. I've seen this movie so many times. There are so many lines from this movie that I quote over and over again. And it's become a staple around this time of year for us in this household.
Yeah, Geoff, I don't remember this, and maybe you do, but did I watch Ghostbusters for the first time with you?
Wow.
I don't think I did.
I don't think you did either. I feel like you've seen it. You have to have seen it before we
Okay.
started
Yeah.
dating.
I think it's one of those situations where I'd probably seen it maybe once or twice, had definitely seen bits and pieces of it. I might not have like really sat down to intentionally watch it as an adult until Geoff and I started dating. But exactly like he said, it has become a yearly rotation in our Halloween season viewing. Ben, we're all dying to know, what score are you going to give Ghostbusters?
What score do you think I'm gonna give Ghostbusters?
Honestly, I don't know. These types of movies are always really hard for me to tell if you're going to like them or not.
I did not like it.
Ah, sad.
Sad.
I I'm not super into paranormal stuff in general. Like I'm not into the premise to
Hmm.
begin with. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I understand probably like if you grew up with it, why people like have an affinity for it. I also don't really like Bill Murray or Dan Aykroyd, so that's a problem
Hmm.
too.
That's
Um,
tough. That's
so
tough.
I'm gonna give it a I'm gonna give it a two.
Okay. All right.
All
Not
right.
cats level bad.
No.
Just the usual suspects bad.
Yeah. I know. I was looking at, because I was trying to look and I was like, I definitely like it less than it, and I
Hmm.
like it less than The Graduate, but yeah, I think that's a good spot for it.
All right. And what about you, Geoff?
So this is a movie that is definitely like a nostalgia play for me. I've always laughed at this movie, and weirdly enough, my enjoyment of this movie has changed over time. It's very funny looking at my letterbox history with this movie because my ratings have almost changed every year that I've seen it. And I find new details, which is interesting. I find new details that I like or that don't hit with me as much, like on repeat viewings. But I enjoy watching this movie. I think that the chemistry of the main three is a laughable one, and I think the VFX are pretty good given the time. So I'm gonna give Ghostbusters a 4.25.
So I really enjoy watching this movie. There's a lot of things about it that also like bother me. So I feel like I always just kind of give it in the mid range. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
I'm
I think
glad
that's
I'm not
fair.
like insanely off base. I thought maybe this was like one you two loved.
I mean, I
Um,
do love it. That's the weird thing. I love it, but I struggle with giving it like a really high rating.
Yeah, it's one of those, we had the conversation about it the other day where it's like, do we like this movie because of the nostalgia for it and because of the impact that it's had, or because it's a genuinely like good movie? So I gave Death Becomes Her the same score when we did Death Becomes Her a few weeks back. And I almost think it's for different reasons. I think Death Becomes Her just because I thought it was a really good movie. And while I do enjoy Ghostbusters, it's also because I've watched it over and over again. And I found the stuff that I like, and I really hone in on the stuff that I like with it, which maybe is not fair, but also this is a weird. It's a weird way of saying like the movie has almost earned the right in my eyes to be looked at in that way. I don't know.
I feel like there's so many movies that like, and I feel like I'm the kid in this scenario where like, they're like, oh, you have to watch this
Hmm.
because it's so funny and so good. And then like the kid watches it and they're like, oh, that was not great. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's interesting because you, Amanda, you're kind of right in the middle and you've seen it more, you didn't see it growing up, but you've seen it more
Hmm.
times and
Yeah.
longer ago than I did. Like, I feel like sometimes these movies, like, they get so steeped in like the lore of it and the experience of it and the nostalgia of it all that like people lose all perspective of if it's good or not. And I'm sure people would argue with me on that about and say it is a good movie. I'm sure
Hmm.
there are plenty of people out there who would make that argument, but I think it's hard to separate it. I think I have that problem too with other movies that I grew up with. Like it's hard to separate that out if it's something you've been watching for decades
Yeah, I
and that
agree
you
with
have a
you.
very memorable experience or memory of watching it maybe the first time or multiple times as a kid.
Yeah, and I don't think that this is a bad movie that's just steeped in nostalgia. I think it's a pretty okay movie that's steeped in nostalgia, which is what gives it that extra boost in the
Yeah.
public's eye. I will say, if I'm remembering correctly, I think this movie has really grown on me the more I've watched it because I believe the first time Jeff and I watched it together, I was way more meh on it. Like I was like, it was boring. I don't really see the appeal. But every time I watch it, it somehow gets better. And I don't really know why or how, but I genuinely enjoy watching it now.
I think for me, a lot of like the individual moments and quotes and lines out have stuck out to me the more that I've seen it. Like the joke that who's his face? Dan Aykroyd's character Ray makes about the public sector versus working in education, about how I've worked in the private sector, they've expect results. Little lines like that, which I wouldn't have necessarily gotten like if I saw this as a kid, it's like, oh, I'm laughing at Slimer running through walls and creating messes and it looking gross and silly. Now as I'm older, I'm laughing at, oh, the banter between the three Ghostbusters and the one-off quips that characters make. It different parts of it appeal to me over different periods of time, which I think helps with that kind of movie and helps with this kind of movie, a movie that is a crowd pleaser and one that was not just a hit when it came out and loved by critics, loved by audiences, the whole deal, but has helped it stand the test of time then as a result. So I don't know, different things have appealed to me the more that I've seen it.
One of the things I do like about this movie, and I like when other movies do this too, is that I like when movies or TV shows make the something outrageous seem mundane. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that happens with the bureaucracy of the Ghostbusters sting, like that is just like treated like another like division of, like their
Hmm.
office and stuff. Like it's almost just kind of like the way we treat the most mundane things. And I always think that's funny when you're dealing with something outrageous like ghostbusting.
It's like a workplace comedy
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
sense, which makes the line readings in between the characters like that much funnier when they're talking about, oh, different expectations of the job or getting the petty
right. And even the
cash or
lingo of the ghosts, like there's such
Mhm.
outrageous words they're saying, and they're saying them like, you're just having a mundane work conversation,
Dead serious.
Right.
which I do appreciate that.
This time, especially for me, it was interesting to try to figure out like how Peter Venkman got in with these guys. That was the one thing I was trying to figure out because like Venkman, you can tell obviously with the Bill Murray character, he's the womanizer of the group. He is the smooth talker, and maybe that's ultimately why because he can get them into like the whole talks with the mayor at the end of the movie. That is why Venkman is there. But the entire time, I'm like, how does this man have a PhD? This man does not come across that way whatsoever. And obviously, he mentions it later on in the movie. But I was like, what? How is this man qualified to be here? And why would Ray and Egon even want to be hanging out with this man, like at all?
Hmm. Yeah, his character is definitely one of the biggest things that irks me about this movie. You know, like you said, Jeff, he's definitely a womanizer and just the things that he says and does and gets away with. And I will never fully understand how Dana slash Sigourney Weaver ends up actually liking him by the end of this movie because
Yeah.
I
Yes.
none of that tracks for me.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I'm like, just because she quote unquote liked you when she was Zool does not mean that that would translate into her liking you when she's turned back to a real person.
And for me, Bill Murray is one of those people that I just have never gotten the appeal of in films or in interviews or in, like he's one of those people that I've just never quite understood why people think he's so funny. Um, He's like the Rob Riggle of his day. No, I'm kidding.
Wow, shots at
He's
Rob
not that
Riggle.
bad. I hate Rob Riggle. But like I feel like Bill Murray's always either like a jerk or a creep, and he's both of those things at times in this movie.
Yep.
Um, the one movie I want to see of his is Groundhog Day because I feel like maybe that would change my mind a little bit, but yeah, I've just never been too into him as an actor or thinking he's funny. And so
Mm.
that is hard to get then on board with this movie, especially because I
Hmm.
also, like I said, in my score feel a little bit that way about Dan Aykroyd, although I don't know that I have as much strong feelings about Dan Aykroyd, but I've also never found him super funny.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Just wait until you watch Zombieland, Ben.
Who's in that one?
Bill Murray.
Oh, he is.
Hmm.
Yes.
I
Well,
don't know.
and, and in Groundhog, no, in Groundhog Day, he has his redeemable moments. I think there are times where, especially, yeah, I'm trying to avoid not spoiling much with it, but
I mean,
he
I've seen the
does.
musical, so I know the general
Okay, all right, fair
plot.
enough. Yeah, so he starts off like a jerk, but by the end of the
Yeah.
movie, he's redeemable and whatnot.
I thought we were still talking about Zombieland.
Oh,
And you were
Zombieland.
like, I've seen the musical. I was like,
Oh my goodness.
whoa. When did I missed that announcement?
Oh, I was about to say we would have driven straight to Broadway if that was the case. My goodness, that would have been amazing.
Sorry.
No, there definitely there definitely works from Bill Murray, especially in the 21st century, that I do want to see. Like for some reason, I have not seen Lost in Translation, the movie which centers on his character, especially at a later point in life, and he plays an actor in that movie. I'd be curious to see how I felt about him there, but I know for a character like Murray, or for an actor like Murray, excuse me, he's done. He was on SNL, right? I
Hmm.
believe. Yes. So
Yeah, they
he's
both
done the
were.
SNL bit. He did first real notable thing in terms of his career that I can remember him from was Caddyshack, where he plays a doofy sort of. He's a cat. He's the groundskeeper on the golf course, but he's doofy. He's just there to be a joke of a character. But then as his careers later on, he's been given the focus and he's found his niche. And I'm sure for that period of time, that was something that people gravitated to, though, because there are a couple actors like him in that sort of stage in terms of the comedy where it just works. And you have that certain style of humor and that certain style of acting and storytelling. It just kind of works for everybody at the time, at least. Now he's just joining on with every Wes Anderson passion project and various bit roles, which I will say I enjoy to varying degrees, but enjoy for the most part.
Yeah, I say I don't think he was in the one Wes Anderson movie you watched, Ben.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think he was in that.
Oh, maybe he had a. Was he one of those?
Oh, like the brothers?
No, like
Mm.
Oh,
the movie we're talking about is the Phoenician Scheme, by the way, if people are wondering. I thought maybe he was in those like dream sequence things.
He is credited in the
oh,
Phoenician Scheme,
Yeah,
where
but it's a very
he.
small thing, and I feel like you can't even quite tell it's him.
obviously I didn't even recognize it, or I just forgot. It's been a second. So let's talk about how this movie looks. What are the thoughts here on how this movie has aged look wise?
Do you mean in the like the VFX sense or in the? I think it's aged. I think it's aged well given the period of time. I think the stuff that they do with Slimer is really funny, and I think it still holds up today to an extent, at as only 80s movies can, if you will. But I think that the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man stuff is aged well, and I think enough stuff is silly enough pasted on top of everything like the ghosts flying around or whatever. I think it still holds up personally.
I was reading that, this was a very kind of state of the art movie in terms of special effects when it came out, and it was a very kind of, it ballooned its budget quite a bit to do the expensive special effects. I feel like it was kind of a mixed bag for me. Like, I do think like the State Puff Marshmallow Man stuff still looked good. I thought some of the earlier effects and the kind of supernatural things happening didn't look as good to me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man looks good. I like the way that Slimer and some of the other ghosts that they do look, but I think the beams that come out of their plasma gun things, those beams look terrible. And when they have people, like when they have the dog that's running after Rick Moranis, like that thing looks
Yeah,
awful.
that's the one thing. Yeah.
And some of the VFX at the end with Gozer and I don't remember all their names, but the David Bowie looking character, some of those like didn't look great either. But I think for the most part, and I looked up too because when we were watching this and they show the scene where Dana's apartment is first haunted and they have the eggs like popping open and cooking on the countertop, and I was like, how did they do that? Because it looked like a practical effect. It didn't look like it was
Hmm.
a visual effect or anything. And I guess they used tubes underneath the eggs with like pressurized air to pop them out of the carton, and then the actual countertop was a concealed like hot plate, so they were actually like cooking on there after they
Wow.
popped out.
Huh.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I also thought that the ghosts looked more like they do in the Ghostbusters logo, like before I
Mm.
watched the movie.
Oh, that makes sense that
Does
you would
make
think
sense.
that.
Yeah,
The ghost is like a mixture of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man because he's white and
right,
fluffy
right.
looking.
Yeah.
It's just their
But that's
corporate
like,
logo.
that's what ghosts.
Right.
Were you ever a ghost for Halloween?
I feel like I
uh,
have to have at some point.
I don't think so,
So
actually.
my mom kind of talks about the one year my brother and I went as ghosts as like her lazy year.
Mm.
Um, and then when I was in college, I wasn't going to go to a Halloween party, and my friend and I decided at the last minute we were going to go, so we went and got sheets from the dollar store and cut holes in them and went as ghosts.
Amazing.
There you go.
Perfect.
There's nothing easier.
No,
Seriously. Unless you're Charlie Brown and it's a great pumpkin Charlie Brown and you
that's
just
right.
mess up. No, it was very funny. It's very funny whenever I see the dogs in this movie go from being like digitally rendered VFX things jumping through walls and moving around and galloping around and stuff, and then all of a sudden it'll be like a quick cut of a camera and it's like a puppet on the screen. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous looking.
Yeah, I think that dog is one of the worst looking things in the movie.
Oh yeah.
He's rough.
One thing I do love too is watching when actors have to pretend that the ground is shaking. And you can tell, especially with a movie like this, where it's like, okay, the camera, we're gonna like just shake it around, and
Mhm.
they have to be like, oh, and like pretend to like move their feet and everything like that, especially like on the rooftop towards the end of the movie.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
this is funny.
Yeah.
It looks absolutely ridiculous.
It did look really cool though when the street like caved in on itself and like
Hmm.
broke apart. You could also tell that that was like a practical effect. And I was like, oh, that looks really cool. And I was going to Google how they did that, but then I was like, no, I've seen it at the Universal Hollywood Studio Tour. Not that exact set, but a set where they like make the ground break apart and everything. So I'm like, all right, I guess that's pretty standard in Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know this was as New York as it is. Like that there's
Very New York.
I mean, I guess I didn't even know it was set in New York, much less that it was like as New York as it is.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
know
a lot.
I don't know if you listen, Jeff, they just did a New York draft on the Ringer.
I did. I was mentioning that to Amanda the other day. Then
Yeah.
they drafted Ghostbusters on. I was like, yep, yep. So exactly, it's very New York.
Yeah. Even though I don't think they filmed that much there, but enough for it to feel that way.
Yeah, you have the New York Public Library. You have
Yeah.
certain like landscape shots and everything, and even like the anxieties of living in New York or working in New York are still prevalent in this movie, such as the insane cost of to get a building in the middle of the city and it's a dump and it should be condemned, but like that's all you can really get. or trying to navigate through the streets. And I'm sure with New York, you have your fair share of crazy, insane people that something like ghost busting could probably legit be a thing,
Yeah.
honestly.
I thought the montage, like right after they kind of like got their business underway, with the newspaper headlines and the kind of fans thing, I thought that was enjoyable. That was fun to watch.
It was the whole sequence when we start with the "we got one" through the hotel, through that montage. Very,
The
very
hotel
enjoyable.
stuff was good too. That was that whole stretch was probably my favorite stretch of the movie because I wasn't totally into it at the beginning, and then it kind of lost me later on. I felt like that little stretch right there. I was like, oh, okay, this is fun.
Yeah, you can tell that they're making it up as they go, and then when they get it right, it's like, oh, wait, we actually did it.
And shout out to
worked.
Casey Kasem.
Shout out to Casey Kasem.
I was gonna bring that up
Casey
too.
Kasem. For me, as the Nick at Night nerd, he always did the classic TV countdown at the end of the year on Nick at Night. That's what I knew him from. I know that
Gotcha.
wasn't his most famous thing, but
And say he was on the radio every Sunday.
yep.
Yeah.
And then they would, I feel like for years after they'd play classic Casey Kasem things, even
Yeah.
after he went off the air.
True. When did he actually go off the air? I'm like, maybe I never actually listened to him in
I
real
think it
life.
was early 2000s, maybe.
Oh, okay. Then I definitely did. You know what though? I miss Rick Moranis. I know he like quit acting for a good reason, but I love him and I really wish that just think of all the things that we could have had if he had remained acting.
Right?
Yeah, you think like he would have, I know he chose not to, but like he seems like he could have found a niche as like on TV or, like things like that. Like
Yeah. Maybe he'll come back someday.
maybe.
Do some things in his old
He's always
age.
likable whenever he's on screen.
Mm-hmm.
And another shout out, Annie Potts.
Oh yeah. Yes, Annie Potts.
She's great. She's the secretary.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Is that?
Yeah.
But, I know her from, well, she's on a lot of stuff. She's in Designing Women with Jean Smart. And that's where she kind of really, I feel like, took off. And then most recently, she's on Young Sheldon.
Oh, is she? Good for her.
But she's done a lot of stuff over the years.
I was about to say, that Ghostbusters where I primarily know her from, or where I first think of, and I guess
Well, she's more of a
that's
TV person than a movie person.
right, which is another reason why I would think that way. But yeah, I love her character so much. Just the weird,
She's
like,
in the sequels.
and she is in the sequels.
Some
Have
of
you
the
guys
sequels.
seen all the sequels, or what is your?
I've seen, and I'm gonna guess maybe this is similar for Jeff. I've seen this original Ghostbuster movie, not the sequel that they made. I did not see the all-female Ghostbusters, but then we did see Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is the one that came out in 2018.
Like 21.
Oh, 2021 that has like Paul Rudd in it. And then we saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which came out weirdly like a year after that. It was so soon. Like it was, I feel like it was released they were released so close together.
Paul
Yeah.
Rudd feels like a good vibe for a movie like this.
Big time. Yeah, his vibe fits the movie big for sure.
Yeah. The Frozen Empire movie was not great, but Ghostbusters Afterlife I thought was pretty good. It was definitely nostalgia bait, like 1,000%. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen Ghostbusters 2. I just watched Ghostbusters 2 for the first time like a year or two ago and really liked it. I thought it was good. Not nearly as good as this, but still a fun time with the crew together. And I have not seen the 2016 Puffy Ghostbusters, and then I've seen the 2 Legacy sequels. A little bit mixed on those. Frozen Empire definitely falls into the quote-unquote bad territory, but Afterlife is enjoyable enough as a Legacy sequel with some bright spots within the movie. But they do a weird like CGI VFX version of Harold Ramis because he had passed away before that movie came out or was filmed. But they like digitally inserted his ghost into the movie, which was it was a little weird.
It's just wild to me that like you have this franchise that was obviously very successful in the 80s, spawned a sequel, there was a cartoon, I feel like it was definitely something that I knew as a child. And then it just went dormant for decades. Like, I don't know, I feel like you don't get that nowadays, with franchises like they become TV shows or they,
Oh, for
all
sure.
this sort of thing. Like just to have like a fairly successful franchise go dormant for that long is wild to me.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Especially because, yeah, it would be milk for all it's worth today. They would
Yes.
do everything they
Or
could
not,
to
which is not
try.
a good thing, but
No, of course not.
what
But
happens?
And that is what they're doing now with, trying to reboot it.
I do love the Ghostbusters song.
Oh
It's
yeah.
always great.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful that that song has lasted the way that it has, where it's like, oh, if you just listen to it on its own, it's like still great. Like, you don't need the movie to only hear it like within there. Like, it is an awesome song. And works for the movie too.
And say, I think it's probably a good reason why the movie has all that nostalgia and has remained as popular as it has, because everyone loves the song. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't not love that song. It's so good. And they actually use it in the movie, which is even better.
Yes.
It's not just
Yes.
like a credit song or something.
Yes. Oh, hate me just a credit song.
But like I said, I really like the song I knew, and I didn't know I really didn't know that it was like necessarily written for the movie. I just
Mm-hmm.
thought maybe it was like one of those things where they went hand in hand, or the song came. I don't know, like I guess maybe because I thought the song was older than that, which I know is
Right.
not. But
Yeah, that's fair.
what are your favorite quotes? I did write down two quotes I liked. One of them was when someone asks you, "Are you a god?" You say yes,
Yes. Yep.
Mhm. That's
and
a
the
very
other
good
one
one.
was nobody steps on a church in my town.
I actually didn't write any down, but there are a lot of I
Well, it's
wouldn't
like
say that they're like famous quotes that a lot of people know, but
right. I was
you
gonna say
know.
like, is there like what are the most famous lines from this movie, or like ones that
For me, I always loved, again, this is probably because when I watched it as a kid, I was like, ooh, based on what he said. But when Venkman comes out of the banquet hall after they caught the ghost and he yells, "We came, we saw, we kicked its ass." I loved that line as a kid. I used to say that line a lot. I was like,
Yeah.
this is funny.
There's the
Uh,
one about cats and dogs,
oh
mass
yes,
hysteria.
cats and dogs living together, mass
oh yeah.
hysteria. Yep, that one's a great one. I know I mentioned the line earlier, but I've worked in the private sector. They expect results. Do love that
Mhm.
line. Or Egon telling Janine, "Print is dead," as she's like, "Man, I love books and magazines." He's like, "Print is dead." I'm like, it's in the '80s, huh? You're calling that now?
I
That's
liked
one
a
of the
lot
things,
of
if I may diverge here for a second to go down a different, but that's one of the things that's always interesting because, like, you think about like what you read now about how this industry is dying or that industry is dying, and like, I am a nerd who likes to read old TV guides and entertainment weeklies, and like people were talking about this in the 90s. People were talking about, like it's
Yep.
just like it always creates fodder for articles and things to, be like, oh, the ratings declined in the 90s, these TV, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and like they still had decades of success ahead of them, like
Mhm.
before things really started to decline. But it makes you realize that like people are only ever connecting to their current world about stuff like that, I feel
Right.
like,
Mhm.
and not
Absolutely.
not having the perspective perhaps needed.
Going back to the lines, I feel like a lot of the lines that Bill Murray has when he's talking to Dana when she's Zool always make me laugh a lot, particularly when Zool comes out and is like, "There is no Dana, only Zool." And he's like, "What a lovely singing voice you must have."
Or when she opens the door when he arrives and she's like, "Are you the key master?" And he's all like, "Not that I'm aware of." And then she rolls her eyes and slams the door in his face. That's funny.
Yeah, definitely a lot of good ones.
Mm-hmm. Rick Moranis running around as the keymaster, being like to the horse, being like, "At the stroke of midnight, you will be freed," or something along those lines.
Oh, yeah.
That's very funny.
I never noticed before, but in the scene where the bad guy, I don't remember his name, comes down and he's trying to get them to shut off all their machines. And Rick Moranis is down there and he's literally like copying everything everybody does, but he's just kind of off to the side. You can't really like see him unless you notice it. But like Egon would like put his hands up and he would be like doing the exact same thing. I'm like, he's so funny. He's not even doing anything.
I know when he's got the thing strapped on his head and you can see the little demon dog in the screen from like his brain readings and he's just rattling off names and history and stuff. I'm like, that's hilarious. Just stone cold serious. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
Again, shout out Rick Moranis.
Mm-hmm.
Also leave it to, I guess my sort of last thing is the whole government angle with the government agent coming in and it being a violation of the Environmental Protection Act.
Yeah, right.
Like, ugh.
I know he's the bad guy, but it's kind of a fair point, right?
He does have a point.
They've got all these ghosts that they're probably illegally storing in some sort of regulated container system. Now, I know it's his fault, because he made them shut it down and that was bad and everything, but
he could have at least taken a meeting.
I think he had a point, probably.
I think his case would have held up in a court. I don't think it needed to be done so fast.
Yeah, he went about it in a terrible, terrible way, as they always do.
This is a power
But
grab.
shout out to that guy because he's also the bad guy in Biodome, which is one of my favorite like stoner comedy movies. So I've only ever seen that man be a bad guy. All right. Anyone have anything else to add? All right. Ben, give us your TV recommendations.
All right, I have two. One is my favorite ghost property, which is Ghosts on CBS, which by the time this episode airs, will be back for its fifth season on CBS or Paramount Plus. Really based on the UK, right? I believe it was UK.
Mhm. Yeah.
Based on the UK show. Very clever how they keep finding new things to do within their rules they've created for themselves about ghosts. And I'm excited to see what the new season brings. And it's already been renewed for a sixth season, so we got at least 2 more years of it. And then, but the other show that I think actually probably is a little bit more tonally similar and premise similar is Ghosted, which was a one-season show back in 2017, I believe, starring Adam Scott and Craig Robinson as basically Ghostbusters, ghost hunters kind of thing. And it did not do that well. They were polar opposites investigating paranormal activity in Los Angeles. And I did watch a few of the episodes, and they were fun together. It never quite figured itself out, and then it was going to go through some retooling, but then it got canceled, and so it never really, didn't even last a full season. But I definitely had a similar tone to this in terms of kind of the comedic meets the ghost hunting type of approach. So a little one season wonder there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not a great show, but it is Adam Scott and Craig Robinson who are both really fun. So
Yeah, what's not to like?
yeah.
All right, Geoff, what about our movie recommendations?
I will say before I give my recommendations, I was trying to remember where I knew Walter Peck, the government agent, from. And it just clicked in my brain that William Atherton is also in Die Hard as the news reporter who's like first on the scene and like ruffles the feathers of everybody.
Yes, that's right.
I had totally forgotten. But
Great
I was
Christmas
like,
movie.
incredible Christmas movie. Needs to be part of. Amanda hasn't seen that. But
There's
yeah,
so many.
so many. All right, so my movie recommendations. I am going to recommend a movie that we have talked about on the podcast before, but Beetlejuice. Practical effects and the stunning effects of kind of ghosty things in the 80s. So we loved we had a fun time with Beetlejuice last year when we talked about it on the podcast. Always good to revisit it during the Halloween season. So Beetlejuice is number 1. Number 2 goes in line with the seasonal Bill Murray comedy. And I would have maybe said Groundhog Day, but I'm going to go with Scrooged instead. I know I'm personally not the biggest fan of Scrooged, but I know there are plenty of people out there who love and recommend that movie and view it as a holiday rotational staple. So I'll throw Scrooge there on the list. And then number 3, I'll recommend the legacy sequel to this, Ghostbusters Afterlife. You only really need to see the first one to enjoy that one. So yeah, give it a shot if you want a modern spin on the Ghostbusters franchise.
Yeah. Thank you both. Appreciate it. So let's move into our top 4. We've already spent some of our time here discussing what a great song Ghostbusters is. And so obviously we thought it was very appropriate to do our top 4 Halloween songs, which I don't know. We didn't really discuss what qualifies as a Halloween song. I know I have a Halloween playlist on Spotify that is full of certainly not Halloween songs, but
I feel like if you feel like it could play at a Halloween party, it counts.
sure. I mean, even then, I think some of them are questionable, right? But it's like people just put
Yeah,
a
it's not like
song in
Christmas
there.
songs. There's not that many straight up Halloween songs. It's people
Right.
who somehow
Yeah,
tie it to Halloween because of one reason or another.
Right.
right. Like, for example, I have I Want Candy on my Halloween playlist,
I saw it on a
which
list when I was looking up different songs to make sure I didn't miss anything. I saw it on the list.
I mean, it's definitely not a Halloween song, though,
No,
right? But you're
but
like, oh, it's about candy, and Halloween has candy.
yeah.
It's a very loose connection. Anyways, so don't fight us on what we think a Halloween song is all I'm trying to say here. So, Geoff, why don't you go first?
Oh boy, the pressure's on. So I didn't pull any honorable mentions for this, so apologies there. But I like my 4. I think I like my 4. The music ones are always the hardest ones for me because I have very limited perspective when it comes to music. So we'll see how this goes here. So my number 4 is Werewolves of London from Warren Zevon. I do love that movie. And I remember I have a very distinct memory of driving with my uncle, and he's a big oldies music fan, and he loves this song. And I remember one night he took me out for my birthday. We did like dinner and hung out, and this song was playing, and I remember us rolling down the window and howling out of the car as the Werewolves of London chorus was playing. It was a really grand old time. So this song holds a little special place in my heart. So Werewolves of London, number 4. Number 3, I'm gonna put This Is Halloween from the Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack. Great Halloween tune, very spooky, and a movie that I love. And this song really sets a strong mood with that movie because this is the first song that plays in that. Good song there. Number 2 is probably a controversial take, but whatever. But my number 2 is only, and it's only number 2, is Thriller.
Okay.
I love Thriller. Just, it's Thriller. I don't know what more else I can say besides it's Thriller. And then number 1 is Ghostbusters. It's a bop. And in terms of just personal enjoyment, it's my number 1. Like, sure, okay, Thriller is like the best song. But listen, I have a blast with Ghostbusters. It's an absolute blast. And the chorus makes me dance. And who you gonna call? Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, exactly.
10 out of 10. No notes. Perfect. All right, Ben, what's your list?
Well, this is also there's not a ton of really great Halloween songs, so to speak. I'm not someone who's going to have a bunch of deep cuts here. So my honorable mentions are Werewolves of London, which is on Jeff's list, as well as Purple People Eater.
Nice.
And both of those were on my Halloween cassette tape party mix.
Nice.
As were 2 of them on my top 4. My number 4 is Time Warp. Another shout out to Just Dance there.
Oh, yeah.
And I really think that's a really fun song. And I like the way it kind of, I don't actually like Rocky Horror, but I like the chaos of that song.
We've had Amanda and I've had conversations about the Rocky Horror Picture Show where it's like starts off very fun, but then it just keeps going and going.
It's so weird, but I do like that song. Number 3 is Ghostbusters. Great song, really fun bop. Number 2, just like Geoff, is Thriller. which, you know, I think has very much become a Halloween song over the years now. And one of my favorites of Michael Jackson, although not my favorite Michael Jackson song. Number one for me, though, easily is Monster Mash. I love Monster Mash. I was such a sucker for like 50s culture when I was a kid. And so that's why I got that Halloween cassette tape back in the day because it had Monster Mash on it. I still played in my classroom during Halloween. I think it's just super fun. I'm talking about the original. I like other recordings, but the original recording is the one that I'm referring to here. I think it's just a perfect like Halloween party song.
Yep, it's a good one.
Nice. I love that scene in The Office where Jim and Pam are talking about the Monster Mash and Kevin's like, but really they're fighting about like him being in Philly or whatever. And Kevin's like, man, Pam really hates Monster Mash. And Jim was making some really good points, but Pam was like, no, no Monster Mash. I love that scene so much. Anyways, good list. 10 out of 10. No notes.
Thank you, Amanda.
My list has some different songs.
Yay!
Some the same, some different. This was really hard for me to pick, so I have 3 honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is Rest in Peace from the Muppets Haunted Mansion movie, which came out a few years ago, but it's Darren Criss who sings it, and it's just a fun little ditty. Another newer addition is The Ballad of the Witch's Road. Again, not technically a Halloween song, but that song slaps so hard.
That's a good one.
That's a good choice.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And then my last honorable mention is Time Warp for all the reasons that Ben listed before. Just super fun song. So my number 4 is, I guess, maybe technically not a song, but it is a song. It's the Boo to You soundtrack from the Boo to You parade at Disney World.
I'll allow it.
Unfortunately, you cannot get it on Spotify, but if you look up Boo to You parade on YouTube, you can watch it and listen to it. The song is a banger. Number 3 is Ghostbusters because Bustin' makes me feel good. And who doesn't love Ghostbusters? Number 2, This Is Halloween. Nightmare Before Christmas has easily been one of my most favorite Halloween movies ever since it came out and I was a child. And then number 1 is Grim Grinning Ghosts, aka the Haunted Mansion theme song.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Grim Grinning Ghosts come out to socialize.
No Love for I Put a Spell on You, which I saw on a lot of lists.
I don't like that song very much.
No.
I guess if I were to have an honorable mention, it'd be on that, but
yeah, I don't like it. Not my jam. All right. We had some good songs there. If you'd like to join with us next week, we are going to be rounding out Spooky Month by watching the all-time Halloween classic, Halloween. Yes, that one.
Should not make anybody's list, that song.
Shocking.
I didn't include musical scores, but I guess it would have made it, but
yeah, I guess I would play that song at a Halloween party, but I wouldn't play that song to just listen to. If that makes sense.
Makes sense.
So anyways, watch Halloween with us and join in on the discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a rating or review and follow us on all our social channels. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
To infinity and beyond!
Why so serious?
I am serious, and don't call me Shook.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.